now. Welcome to a man that made the Final Four a few years ago with FAU. Just wrapped up year one with the Michigan Wolverines, won the Big Ten championship, also had the Wolverines dancing all the way to the Sweet 16, and that is head coach Dusty May here with us. Coach, appreciate the time as always. How you been?
Oh, doing great, Zach. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. So how do you look back at it, year one in Ann Arbor with Big Blue? How do you kind of look back at what you guys were able to accomplish?
Well, when you go into this situation, you move up a level like we did, you don't really know what to expect. You know, I was an assistant at Florida just a few years ago. I've been at this level before, but recruiting's different. Player management's different. Staff management is different. So there's definitely a learning curve, but I feel like we really, really grew throughout the season, and we're extremely excited going into year two.
So I appreciate your honesty, because we've seen coaches, right, have success like you had at FAU and other spots. They get a bigger job, and then it just doesn't work out. I know it's only 1 year, but you had to tinker with some things. But overall, your general principles are your culture. Why do you think what you guys kind of did at FAU and that culture that you developed was still able to work at Michigan?
I think just the amount of time that our staff puts in with our players, the authenticity of our staff in general, I think really helps. And I think we're all these guys are looking for the same thing, a place where they can thrive individually, enjoy it collectively, and then they're improving and they're around great people. So I think that's the same at any level. Obviously, the financial piece has changed the game in the last few years, but I do think all these guys are looking for the same place, an opportunity to be their absolute best.
Yeah, and I know the roster changes more than ever because of that financial stuff that you were talking about. So whoever is on your team for year number two of the Dusty May era in Ann Arbor, what do you want to kind of challenge your players to do after a program? We saw you guys win the Big Ten this year and go to the Sweet 16.
Well, I think we can pass the ball even better than we did this year. We had another good assist year, and I think we played really good team basketball. But I think we can do it at an even higher level, play with much more rhythm offensively, much more pace offensively, and then defensively, we made great strides from last summer to the end of the year. By March, we were a really good defensive team, and then the last thing would be rebounding. When you watch these teams tonight, they're elite offensive and defensive rebounding teams. So I think that's the one commonality between all efficient offenses, whether you shoot a bunch of mid-ranges like these teams do, whatever the case, if you get your shots back, you have a chance to be elite offensively.
Dusty May here with us. Coach, I have no clue what's true or false with the portal. I have no clue what you could actually say, but I keep on reading about some of the players that you're able to snag and bring on in. I saw you had the number one player in the portal commit to you guys. Just how have you been able to find the way quickly at Michigan to have success with that portal?
Well, fortunately for us, and I can't speak on any recruits technically right now, and I'm not even sure who's signed and who hasn't, and who signed their collective agreements and whatnot. There are a lot of layers to this. I think at the end of the day, it's probably just a handshake agreement between any of us at any time now. You could get out of anything that if you really, really wanted to. But I think we obviously we were fun to watch. You know, we had a unique deal with the 2 7-footers, and then we had some athleticism on the perimeter. But we developed a little bit of a niche where we've had good bigs and skilled bigs since I've been a head coach 7 years ago. So I think we continued on that. And then just the way we played, we had guys that played with great energy, unselfishness, and a great they were a connected group. So I think when you watched us play, you could see a lot of the things that these recruits are looking to do.
Now, you have a very, very player-friendly program. Just being around you and kind of seeing your teams play, you could tell your players really enjoy playing for you. The last few years, with how easy it is for players to leave, has that changed at all the way that you approach practice and the way that you coach? Just wondering.
Maybe a little bit subconsciously. We're very intentional about telling the truth every single day, about it, enjoying working with these guys and creating a real collaboration and partnership. That's probably the thing that we take the most pride in. Our staff, we collaborate really well together. And then we also allow our players to be a part of that with the decision-making processes with just about everything we do. But we're very committed to our processes. We're very committed to doing it together. And I think when you recruit high-achieving, intelligent people, they want to be a part of the process and respect the ultimate decisions as long as they were a part of the process.
Yeah, and I never fault the kid for going to the transfer portal if a kid's there and leaves whatever reason it is, but it's tough to develop those relationships now with all the other factors. And that's someone that, for me, is pro NIL and pro transfer portal. Someone like a Trey Donaldson who had a lot of success with your program this past year. When you get the news that he was leaving, just how do you kind of react to that?
Well, first of all, Trey did a lot for us, and he was a really good basketball player for us. So the same as we've done everyone when they've left. For whatever reason, it's wish them well, let them know we're going to be following them, watching their scores, watching their games, and we're here for them forever because they were in our locker room. He was our teammate. And so it's on to the next thing. And with turnover is difficult because I enjoy the process of getting to know these guys and being part of their lives. But you know what, when guys leave, new guys come in and you have a chance to be a part of their lives as well and meet new people. And so it's just, I think it's all how we decide to look at it. But, I'm excited about the guys we have coming back. We're excited about the guys that we're adding. And once again, the biggest challenge is trying to figure out a way to take all these really talented individuals and make them a team or a unit.
Was it surprising for you, Coach May, that in year one you were able to win the Big Ten and that you were also able to get to the Sweet 16?
The last summer we felt like we had a chance to be good. And when you watch your team play, obviously there's always some strengths and weaknesses, but there were several times I asked the staff, I'd say, you know what, we've got a chance to be pretty good, don't we? And with that, it's if you can compete for a Big Ten championship, and we were in contention until the last week of the season for regular season championship. And that usually puts you in position to win some NCAA tournament games and in position to advance. So we were confident. We had size. We had good, solid depth. We had some veteran guys, but you just never know how guys are going to respond to each other over a 5-month season. It's difficult. These guys, especially with the travel and the amount of stress and anxiety that comes with all these new things that are a part of our game now. But, the one thing about our staff, the temperature never changes. We're pretty consistent with our approach every day. So I think our players know that it's a safe place to learn, and we're all about getting better.
I know you as a coach, right, especially when you got to a Final Four at FAU, you take a job like Michigan, you want to get to a Final Four, you want to win a national championship. Now, I wasn't expecting those things to happen for your program this year, so I would imagine with how you guys ended the season, you walk away saying year one was a success at Michigan, correct?
Yeah, we obviously laid a really strong foundation with everything that we do. We're going to continue to improve. As we get through this portal period, we'll sit down as a staff and do another autopsy on our season and figure out what we're going to keep and what we're going to get rid of. But yeah, without a doubt, I think that just representing Michigan, it has so much to sell on its own without us. And then you add in the quality staff and players we have in our program, and we're committed to doing it together. I think we have a lot to sell, and ultimately that's what you want out of year one is momentum moving forward.
You had so many special players at FAU. To get to a Final Four at FAU, it requires not only good coaching, but good players as well. As Dusty May is here with us, a lot of those players still playing in college basketball. One of them tonight in the national championship game, and Elijah Martin, who had an unbelievable slam dunk the other night as Florida was pulling away up against Auburn. Just when did you know that you had something special in Elijah back when you guys were with the Owls at FAU?
I'll tell a quick story about Elijah. He didn't play a lot as a freshman in college. He just had some habits that didn't really align with our opinion of winning. And literally, I tell the story a lot in recruiting. It was the end that we lose, I think, in the first or the second round of the conference tournament, that time Conference USA, and we're leaving the next morning on a commercial flight. I'm walking down the stairs, and I think he got a DNP the night before, and I see his entire family, his mom, his sister, his grandma, everyone at the bottom of the steps. And I'm thinking, oh man, they do not want to see me right now. This might, who knows what's going to happen. And I was exhausted, whatever. And they gave me a big hug and said they were so excited for next year. We're going to have a great off season. And the team got so much better. So at that moment I said, you know what? Elijah's got a real chance because his circle was aligned with development and getting better. And then it's probably the first time in my career where his freshman year he didn't play, and on the road 2 or 3 weeks later, after a week or two of individual workouts and team workouts, I was telling people on the road that he was our best player. So he went from a guy that never played to 3 weeks later being who I thought was our best all-around player. And it was a simple mindset shift. And his mind is probably his greatest strength, as athletic as he is. He's just an elite competitor. His drive to win, his drive to improve is impressive. So those were the things that really told me he was going to be having this type of success.
And that's a unique situation, because how many times is a kid not playing? The family says, oh, the coach doesn't know what he's talking about. The player's thinking it as well, but he kept on believing in you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and obviously we had our ups and downs and whatnot, but and there were several times this freshman year when I would say, I don't know if Elijah's going to make it. It doesn't seem like he's really bought into what we're selling, and I'm pretty stubborn with freshmen, and so yeah, credit to him. I mean, he evolved, he changed, and obviously we met him in the middle, but it was 99% of what he turned into, and that was someone that impacted the game of basketball every single possession on both sides of the ball, but especially with his competitive spirit.
There was some unknown, right? When you leave FAU to go to Michigan, there was some unknown when he left FAU to go to Florida. But to see how he's dominating in the SEC that sent 14 teams to the NCAA tournament, I'm assuming now none of that comes as a surprise to what you're seeing from Elijah?
No, not at all. And obviously, I was an assistant at Florida a few years ago. My oldest son, Jack, was a walk-on for 4 years at Florida. So I follow the program closely. I have I'm friends with their entire staff, whatnot. So I follow those guys closely. And it's been fun to watch. Our staff here has close connections. We said the first couple weeks of the season, they have a Final Four roster at Florida. They've done a really nice job of team building. And those guys have continued to improve. They've held it together, and man, they've got a lot of weapons. I expect them to play well tonight.
Yeah, and Walter Clayton Jr., he's been the most entertaining player in this NCAA tournament. Coach, if you were going up against him, how the heck do you try to slow this kid down right now?
I haven't watched him that close. I'm a big fan of Waltz. He actually visited us during COVID. We'd only seen him on tape, and we talk about all the hits we have in recruiting. Well, that was one that's probably one of our biggest misses. Just not be able to go off of him on tape, and I don't know who we took at the time, but yeah, I've known Walt for a long time. A great family, just a great guy, and so I've watched him more as a fan as opposed to somebody trying to stop him.
Now, I was at the game on Saturday between Duke and Houston. I was there for both Final Four games, Dusty May. And I still can't believe what happened at the ending of that game with Duke and Houston, right? You've been on crazy comebacks. You've also games that you've had go the other way when you thought you had something won, but a 6-point lead with 34 seconds to go. Man, that was wild what Kelvin Sampson and company were able to do up against Duke.
Yeah, they like our guys this year. The last couple minutes, you can just see the level of confidence and intensity elevate, and they're relentless. I mean, they're absolutely relentless, and obviously a lot had to go wrong for Duke to lose that game as well as they played. But I think the biggest stretch was probably that run right before half where Houston found a little bit of offensive confidence because people don't realize how good of a defensive team Duke is. I mean, that might be the two best defensive groups in the country, in Duke and Houston, and obviously it came down to the very last few seconds. And man, what a game to watch though. That was inspiring to see that, and it also it gives us, I guess, a vision of what we need to be working on these next couple weeks and next few months in the off season.
I know what you just said about Florida and how close you are with the staff, but on the other side, you got Kelvin Sampson, who's been around forever. And what he's been able to do at Houston is just so remarkable. American Athletic Conference and now dominating the Big 12 and the rest of college basketball. If he was able to get a championship tonight in Kelvin Sampson, just what would that mean, someone that studies so many of these coaches around the nation?
Well, it simply means that a good guy won. I mean, he's an unbelievable human being. You can see how dedicated he is to his family, how loyal he is to his staff and his players. It's a great story. Obviously the connections to Florida and Elijah, I want those guys to win. But man, if Houston found a way to win and Kelvin Sampson got to cut down that net tonight, I think all of us guys that consider ourselves just very simple ball coaches would be really, really happy for him.
He's Coach Dusty May, former Florida assistant. We know what he did with FAU in the NCAA tournament, and now at Michigan, first year Big Ten champion, also did take the Michigan Wolverines to the Sweet 16. Hey, by the way, for you, do you feel pressure? Because, like, everyone knows you from what you did at FAU. But if that's, like, the only thing people talk about 20 years from now, it means you didn't accomplish what people then thought you could be able to accomplish. You feel pressure taking that Michigan job to just make sure that the highlight of your career isn't the remarkable thing that happened at FAU?
No, my pressure comes from I'm a pleaser at heart. It's making the people that made a decision to hire me, making sure that I do a good job for them and everyone that believed in us. But as far as my own internal pressure, it's not like I feel pressure to make a Final Four. I believe we're going to. I believe we're going to play for national championships. So the pressure is more just in the week of preparation, trying to beat a single team and making sure that you never lose a game because of something that you weren't prepared for. Those are my internal pressures. But I have so much, I guess, loyalty to those that decide. I mean, I remember our first year at FAU. We lost a couple games. I called Mike White and said, "Man, I feel so bad for Brian. We've lost 2 or 3 in a row." He made the decision to hire me, and he said, "Man, Brian's going to be fine. You just coach your team." So that was good advice. But yeah, there's not the pressure to make this because I am really process oriented. I enjoy the work. I think we have to prepare for this every single day and trust that it's going to happen.
Just bring a bunch of Zingermans. Just bring a bunch of no time. You'll please everyone at Ann Arbor. You'll have no problem there, Coach.
I'm only there about 3 or 4 days a week, Zach.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much for jumping on board. Great to catch up with you.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.